So, the story of Jesus spending 40 days in the desert is easily one of the most famous tales in human history. But what if there was absolutely no literal devil out there in the sand? Today, we are going to explore a completely different, incredibly eye-opening interpretation of this ancient story. We're looking at it as a profound psychological blueprint for mastering the mind. In this explainer, we're going to dive right into how this ancient allegory maps perfectly onto modern biology and how you can use it to completely break free from the chaos of your own internal dialogue.
Here's our roadmap for the journey today. It's a highly structured path connecting ancient scripture to modern brain science. We'll cover 1. Into the psychological desert. 2. The ego's 3 temptations. 3. The marriage of opposites. 4. Beware the false light. 5. The neuroscience of unity. And finally, 6. Mastering the unified mind.
Okay, let's dive into this first part, into the psychological desert.
To really grasp this, we have to stop looking at the desert as a physical location on a map. We are completely decoupling the myth from the physical matter. Look at the traditional view. You've got an external devil, a physical desert, and a historical event from 2 millennia ago. But in the symbolic view, this psychological allegory that is literally taking place inside you every single day, the devil is simply your own fragmented, conditioned ego. Christ represents pure awareness, that inner pilot that just thrives in silence. And the desert? Well, that is a state of purification. It's that visceral moment in your life when the endless, exhausting pursuit of pleasure, status, and external validation finally loses its grip on you.
And what about the famous 40 days of fasting? Fasting here isn't just about skipping lunch, right? It is the deliberate, conscious withdrawal of your awareness from sensory stimulation. Think about our modern world. We are constantly overindulging in screens, noise, and comforts, mostly just to avoid the profound discomfort of sitting alone with our own minds. By fasting from these inputs, we strip away the habitual distractions. We literally starve the ego. When physical comforts fall away, your awareness is forced to confront the chaotic, demanding activity of your mind head-on. That's exactly why meditation often feels so chaotic at first. It doesn't create the chaos, it just finally exposes it.
Section 2. The ego's 3 temptations.
Once you're in this psychological desert, the ego gets incredibly agitated and launches its defense. These aren't just random encounters, this is a complete psychological initiation. The ego tries to hijack your attention in 3 distinct, predictable steps. Step 1. Turning stones to bread. After 40 days, the body is screaming for sustenance. The ego attacks through physical urgency, demanding immediate gratification just to control your attention. Step 2. Jumping from the temple so angels will catch you. This is the hunger of the personality. It's that desperate need for status, recognition, and validation. It's the ego constantly asking, "Am I important enough?" And finally, Step 3. Offering the kingdoms of the world. This is the deepest, darkest layer of the human psyche, the absolute lust for power and control over your external environment, driven by this completely false belief that dominating others will finally make you feel safe.
So the crucial point is that the ego thrives on urgency. It speaks the language of right now, demanding immediate gratification and claiming you literally cannot be happy without certain external conditions. But true mastery in the psychological wilderness is realizing that while the hunger, the desire for validation, or the need for control might absolutely exist inside you, your pure awareness is completely separate from them. You are the master, seated right upon the throne of the mind, simply observing these urgent cravings without ever becoming a servant to them.
Section 3. The marriage of opposites.
If the devil is our fragmented ego, what on earth is the Christ state? It's not a historical figure in this context. It's the complete dissolution of internal division, the sacred marriage of the psyche. We can understand this by looking at the 2 primary archetypes of the human mind. The sun represents the masculine principle, active, rational, logic-driven, the builder and warrior of the left brain. The moon represents the feminine principle, receptive, intuitive, emotional, the mystic and nurturer of the right brain. When these forces are unbalanced, we experience massive internal fragmentation. You might find yourself trapped in cold, calculating logic or totally swept away by emotional turbulence. Societal friction mirrors this exact internal split perfectly. Psychological wholeness, that true Christ consciousness, demands their union. Neither is meant to dominate the other, and neither is meant to disappear.
I want you to really think about this question right now. Are you the master of your mind or a servant to its cravings? Do you actually rule your inner kingdom? Or do you just automatically, blindly react to every mental spark, every logical demand, and every massive emotional wave that crashes over you?
Section 4. Beware the false light.
As you begin to take back mastery, you're going to run into a very subtle spiritual obstacle, the false light. In this space, consciousness begins to split back into duality. The ego is incredibly clever. It can actually project itself as divine authority, demanding absolute worship and subservience. And this tricks you into relinquishing your spiritual sovereignty. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is that true higher consciousness never demands submission. Never. Instead, it fosters an exchange of gratitude. It deeply respects your free will and continually points you right back to the kingdom and the pure divinity that already exists within yourself.
Section 5. The Neuroscience of Unity.
Let's enthusiastically transition from mystical allegory straight into hard biological reality, because the brain is the actual physical bridge for all of this. Look at the ancient description of the inner sanctum of Solomon's temple. You have two cherubs stretching their wings over the presence of God. Guys, these cherubs are brilliant metaphors for the two hemispheres of the human brain. The fall from Eden represents the exact moment the human mind transitioned from primal right-brained unity into analytical left-brain duality. Ancient biblical architecture perfectly, flawlessly mirrors modern brain anatomy, pointing out that the seat of consciousness is nestled right there in the center.
To prove this isn't just a fun metaphor, let's look at some staggering data from the Mexican neuroscientist Jacobo Greenberg. He studied interhemispheric correlation in the brain. So to put this into perspective, a normal everyday brain functions at roughly a 40% synchronization rate between the left and right hemispheres. But Greenberg found that in highly coherent states, like deep meditation and unity, that synchronization leaps to a laser-focused 90%. And at 90%, the boundaries between the thinker and the thought entirely collapse. But here is the most mind-blowing part of Greenberg's research. This state of oneness, it is literally socially contagious. The data suggests that when you reach these high levels of brain synchronization, you actually influence the brain activity of the people around you. Your coherent presence physically alters the environment. You raise the baseline of others and create genuine, scientifically measurable harmony in your relationships.
Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 6, Mastering the Unified Mind.
So how do we actually achieve this? How do we unlearn all this division? Ancient cultures absolutely knew how to reach these trance states, and you can apply their actionable mechanics today. To strengthen your mind's ability to remain perfectly steady, try candle gazing. Keep your attention fixed specifically on the darkest part of the flame. Or practice horizon gazing. Paulo Coelho described this beautifully. Looking at a distant horizon for 20 uninterrupted minutes to widen your consciousness. Finally, use alternate nostril breathing. Because the left nostril biologically links to the intuitive right hemisphere, and the right nostril links to the logical left hemisphere, this specific breathwork physiologically balances your sun and moon polarities. It completely resolves that internal friction.
I want to conclude by leaving you with this final, incredibly provocative thought. The battle of the desert is won not by fighting the ego into submission. You were never meant to defeat the voice in your head. You were only ever meant to stop believing it was you. Once you realize you are the pure awareness just observing the noise, you achieve true spiritual sovereignty. So ask yourself today, what would actually happen if you finally stopped listening to the devil and simply took your rightful seat on the throne of your own mind?